Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to, well, this isn't the official left-wing propaganda podcast, but it's a propaganda podcast from the left wing all the same. I haven't got any intro music, but I wanted to crack on with this one. This one's kind of come about in the last day or two as an idea, and I think it's an idea that will work quite well, because it's one that I can expand and take beyond here. So, anyway, let me just give you a quick idea of what this is. This is going to be a new show. It'll be about as reliable in its timing and in terms of how often it comes about as the main show, so it'll be as and when required. But the good thing about this show, as opposed to the left-wing propaganda show, the reason that takes so long, 2 to 3 weeks, is I have to write it. I have to collect the stories, get the right stories, put them together in a way, film, sort of create some kind of narrative between them, and fill it with filthy jokes in between. This one's going to require no writing whatsoever, and it's something that I can do pretty much all this year in the going up to the elections and stuff, because I've in the last sort of month or so, I've ended up sort of putting a lot of focus, not as much as I initially realised, but a lot of focus nonetheless, on Mike Buchanan, Dr. Mike Filbert Mason Buchanan III, who is leader of the Justice for Men and Boys (and the Women Who Love Them) party. And as you know, and if those of you who have been following it will know, I have been volunteering my services to Mike. I have designed him a website which I have been posting on. A website that, since it went live about 6 days ago, has had over 9,000 hits. It's about as many as, probably more than Mike hit his wife. Now, the thing is, that's all doing well and good, and that's going to carry on. We'll be continually posting blogs on that. We've had Mike have some surgery, and we've got him 4 wonderful staff members. We've got a 5th one now. We've now got a 5th one. Yes, I can't remember their name now. Missandry Sucks 566. That was their name. How could I forget it? Anyway. So more of that will happen along the way there. That's going to be more of a kind of, try and think of it as a sort of like a version of The Onion, but for men's rights activists, and with sort of interspersing videos of actual stuff happening in between. So it'll be kind of like a sort of reality mockumentary, like an Office kind of thing. But the thing is, with all this other stuff I'm doing about them, I didn't want to end up doing one channel, having a channel where, like a lot of other people do, I didn't want to do a condelling of my channel and just have it reduced down to me talking about one thing non-stop. Because as much as I enjoy making fun of Mike, and I will continue to do so, and when you come across someone like him who's not only easy to mock, but gives you a lot of creative ideas, but is also just a complete prat, and you enjoy mocking him, then you should always grab that. But here's the thing. I don't want to end up... I also wanted to, apart from making fun of Mike, I wanted to sort of address the serious side of what he's doing. I realise that the serious side of what he's doing is not it's not that evident to most people. Drop me a cigarette right there. But the fact is, it is there. Now, I sort of felt like I wanted to do this. And also the other thing is, because I've attracted people to my videos who I wouldn't say are followers of Mike or are fans of Mike, because they probably never heard of him, but they have this obsession. People when you've gone and you've made fun of something, they react. Then it just shows. I mean, I learned this earlier on that if you're an atheist, you can mock atheists on their issues that they care deeply about. They'll respond with the same level of irrationality and hatred for you. It's just a natural human thing, that. But yeah. So these guys go, and there's this thing that people do nowadays. And I wish it would die. And they have this thing where if you challenge someone saying, well, if you think you're so much better than him, if you think you're so great, why don't you give him a call? Why don't you have a debate? Because first of all, and I'll make this clear now, and I'll state this for a fact. I've stated it many times, but this is now I'm going to have to repeat myself a bit. I am never, and will never be interested in having a live debate, and particularly a live debate that comes as a response to a YouTube video I made, because anyone who knows anything about debate, because they always spin it to say, like, well, you want to come and debate me on this? And, like, who says I want to debate anyone on anything? You know, the whole point with what I do, I mean, generally the people I focus on, the reason they've come round to me, the reason they're in my fucking radar, is the exact opposite reason. It's because there are some people out there who are beneath refutation. You know, who are so, you know, fucking useless. And you actually feel sorry for them, the idea of standing in public and humiliating them. You know, it actually feels like it's going to be making you feel bad. You're going to be, you know, you're not going to want to do this. So people like me come along, and I get this. I had this one bloke who literally was comparing the first video I ever made to Mike to being. He said it's stuff like this that paves the way for the footsteps of tyranny to march. And I just, oh, fuck off. Typical men's rights activist who just over-dramatises everything. You know, it's always something, whatever their main protest is on at the moment, whatever their hashtag is, whatever big thing they're using to get attention, you can guarantee it's nothing. You know, it's always been nothing. There was one a few years ago, posters of theirs advertising an event got pulled down in Canada. They called this Postergate. I shit you not, my friends. You know, take a look at years ago. We had Elevator Gate. I mean, for fuck's sake, that went on for years. I shaved off my head and grew my hair back in that time. You know, my fucking niece was conceived, born, and was able to walk, and that was still going on. You know, if she'd been on the internet in a certain capacity, she could literally get to the point that her entire youth would have been remembering Elevator Gate. That shouldn't be the focus of it for that long. But anyway, folks. Anyway. I decided to bite the bullet. I thought, you know what, I'll respond. Right? I'll show them that I'm just not going to be... Because obviously, if you give them a little bit, respond a bit. Because if you don't respond, I mean, the fact is, you know, the reason they don't get many responses, or the reason people don't sort of take them too seriously, or take them up on their challenges, is simply because... There's no need to. It would be like at this stage, one of those sort of extremely mental 9/11 truthers, the no planers, the people who believe that no planes hit the towers on 9/11. Don't think I'm making that up, right? People who believe that aliens from a planet that you can't see from space, but you should do, and aliens that look like reptiles but can shapeshift into humans, come over here and run a planet. You know, all this stupid shit. These conspiracy theories, and there's some nuttier ones, but it's like debating them. It's like, why? Why do I have to? Doesn't there come a point in human stupidity where we can all agree just to go, you know what, fuck off. I'm not bothering. Just fuck off, and that's it. So I thought I'd debate him, because otherwise he's going to be like, because you know you can't take us on, you can't do blah, blah. Yeah, okay, well. So I'm going to go through the Manifesto, ladies and gentlemen. And he's got a manifesto. And when you consider some of Mike Buchanan's opinions and character traits, and compared to other certain people who wrote manifestos in the last year, who may or may not have killed people, you know that the word manifesto has got certain problems. But this is his election manifesto. This is the 2015 election manifesto for the Justice for Men and Boys and the Women Who Love Them Party. And I'm going to go through it. It's 80 pages long. I'm not going to do it all in one go, obviously. I'm going to do it show at a time until we get through it. And then I'll do another one. And I've decided I'm going to call this is going to be like a spin-off of the Left Wing Propaganda podcast. I'm going to literally call this, Dick versus Man Manifesto. Yeah, or something like that. It's going to be me just responding to a manifesto, going through it. You know, this one's going to do the full comprehensive one, because I have been dedicating a lot of time to Mike. And let's face it, I'd like him to know that at least one person out there fucking read it other than him. So, I'm going to go through it. There are 20 points in his manifesto. There are 20 areas where he claims that men are discriminated against and subject to prejudice from the state. And only men, that's his own point, he says, only men experience this prejudice. Only men, no one else. So, now, I'll leave a link to the So you can follow along at home. Basically, look at this. This is a political version. This is me doing the Mike Buchanan Justice for Men and Boys Party 2015 General Election Manifesto Let's Play. You know, where I'm going to sit here for 50 minutes and walk you through the damn thing. And then come back and you're going to sit there wondering why am I enjoying watching a bloke play Minecraft for 50 minutes talking to himself. But no, this will have the same effect. I'll leave a link to the manifesto below so you can play along at home. The first page, you will notice, those of you who have been here since the start will recognise that first page. It's the same picture. The first page, it is the same sodding picture of Mike bloody Buchanan. And see, it made sense on the website when he had it that small and high up, because there was stuff beneath him. But he's got this white page, A4, presumably, and the top picture, left picture, same picture from the website, of him there looking like he's just had a boiled potato shoved up his arse, next to the logo, and that's it. That's at the top of the page. And then underneath it, and then just underneath it, you go down about 5 miles, about 2/3 of the way down, there it is, in the most plainest font, Arial, caps lock, not even bold, not coloured, not even made underlined. It just says, General Election Manifesto 2015 for the Justice for Men and Boys. Not even just try and make it look interesting, dude. You're not going to fucking win. Just put random pictures on it. They're just anything, make it interesting. And then at the bottom, in smaller font, just to the left, it says date of publication 28th of December 2014. 28/12/14, man. I know where I was, where were you? It goes to show what a sort of nice Christmas he had with the family. That this is what he was doing. I'll go through quickly the introduction. You don't need to go too much. So this is the introduction to Mike. Introduction. And there's a picture of Mike and he looks vaguely normal. You know, he still looks like a cunt. But I mean, he looks vaguely normal there. So, the human rights of men and boys in the United Kingdom have been increasingly assaulted by the state's actions and inactions for over 30 years. You can't be assaulted by an inaction. Let's just get that one. What happened 30 years ago then, I'm curious? What was there? Was there none before that? Okay. The J4MB, the Justice for Man Bam Baby, is the only political party in the English-speaking world campaigning for the human rights of men and boys. Now, I like the way he says, he doesn't say it, but he writes it. This is the only party in the English human-speaking world of its kind, as if that makes us the crazy ones. You know? Okay. The British state has become ever more hostile towards men and boys, although it's largely funded and made up by men. Yes, Mike. He's just conceded patriarchy right fucking there. He's conceded that it's like, yes, we are. It's all feminism. It's all feminism, and feminists are evil, and blah 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 blah. Oh, but it's the state, and as this state is largely made up by men, and yes, and you know they control most of it. But basically, it's women. You know, if it weren't that little bit of women that were there, if it was all men, that would be the problem, right? For example, he gives, in 2011 to 2012, British men paid £68 billion more income tax than women. Wow. Now, Mike, can you please tell us overall what did men earn more income tax-wise over a year? Because as you've just conceded that the majority of men in power and in positions of power and earning the most money, etc., are men, you may have just fucking... How much of that was you, Mike? How much of that 68 billion was you? You can't, for fuck's sake. As if the government is sitting by going, do you know what? We need to get more tax, but we don't want to tax people evenly, so we're going to randomly, for no reason, we're going to charge men on total 54 billion more than women. Like Cameron and Thatcher and Tony Blair had that conversation. There are no areas in which the state disadvantages women and girls. There's no area. Right. Okay. A state which is hostile to half its citizens also affects women. Women who are mothers of boys, or who are men's partners, relatives, colleagues, friends and acquaintances. Oh, what a hopeless romantic he sounds. You could tell he was going. There was a bit of me that thinks as he was writing that he was struggling with the pen. He goes, women, good women, a woman who's a whore in the bedroom, your mother in the kitchen, an angel in the, whatever. But women who are mothers of boys. Yes, you fucking self-use. How dare you have twin girls, you bitches. Anyway, so he lists off the areas in the manifestos that I won't read them off now. So we've got right. So I've got 30 minutes to plough through as much of this as I can. Okay, so let me just have a look here. Obviously, this is Mike's website, so I'll be about 4 hours scrolling down before I reach the fucking nether quartz of actual material. Okay. So he also announces that. Oh, he does announce one thing. I have said that he is the only member of his party. He does say here he's got one bloke. There is another bloke, and this is another thing. He's like, he goes, we do spread our message in various ways and through various mediums. One of our various ways, including the social media, our television and radio appearances may be found on our YouTube channel with a fucking exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. YouTube is not that impressive, Mike. I'm sorry to break that to you. Anyway, so this has been going around since 2013, right? Ian Young, this is the cunt right here. Ian Young, the next by-election, it's a by-election or I don't fucking know, who cares, he won't win. I'll be standing in Ashfield, where Gloria De Piero retained the seat for Labour with 192 more votes than the Lib Dems candidate. She's the shadow minister for women and equalities. Yes, they've deliberately chosen the area to make this bloke stand for the area for women and equalities. Ian Young, formerly a victim of domestic violence, will stand against a Conservative, Mark Spencer, in Sherwood. Ian lives in the constituency in Hucknall. That's it, oh, brilliant. Ray Barry, leader of the campaign for Real Fathers for Justice, will be standing against another Conservative, Anna Sawbury, in Broxtowe. Right, places I've never heard of Broxtowe, I've fucking definitely never heard of Ashfield, right? These are just these obscure places in the middle. Anyway, so we're ready to go, folks. I think let's just get this bitch's baps out and take her roughly up the runway and see if we can get her to squirt. Right, so, right, okay, table of contents, here we go. I said starts at page 5, so we're doing well. And also credit to Mike, he says here at the top of the contents page, yes, he's got a contents page. To move directly to the section, place your cursor over the selected title and click your mouse button. Like, Mike, thank you. Since the fucking website, you've learned how to actually put things in a reasonable order and presentation so people can find them. So terrible that we don't need it now, but never mind. Abortion. Abortion background. Elective abortions, not effective. Elective abortions are permissible in Britain up to 24 weeks after conception, yet medical teams are fighting to save the lives of fetuses of around that age. Right? And increasingly they are succeeding. Okay. So because, but you probably noticed, Mike, that those babies that were actually that old, were not meant to be that fucking old when they were born. That's why a lot of them die. A lot of them die because they can't live independently. And also, Mike, you'll probably find that the 24-week-old unborn baby that they save, they had a factor in their favour, which was their parents wanted it. Now, so you can't really sit there and say the reason people have been arguing for abortion, Mike, has not got much to do with women and men saying, yeah, but we want it to be dead. But why? It's going to die anyway. If it would die, then we've got no reason to believe it would live. We might as well kill it. There are medical teams that, conversely, there are medical teams at work in the same hospitals killing fetuses of the same age prior to extracting their dead bodies from their mother's wombs. Oh, fucking hell. How much graphic do you want to make it? We know what it is, Mike. We find this morally indefensible. Oh, isn't that nice? Right. You find it morally indefensible. Right, well, it's always nice to have a man whose politics are going to be based on what he feels. There comes a point at which the basic right to life of an unborn child overrides the right of a woman over her body. Yes, when that child, Mike, is what's classified as a human being. You see, because until it is classified as a human being, it is part of the woman's body. Right? That is the point we've decided. Right? One person's rights end where another person's begins. Do they, really? Always? Because I don't think that's true. You know, why is it always where one... It's always just suggest, your rights end where mine begin. Well, actually, mine fucking begin where your end, so we're in the same boat. In an age where contraception has long been readily available and highly reliable, I love how you put highly reliable, as if to say that you've tested it out. Right. Women should be held morally accountable for the children they conceive, right? As opposed to now, right, where women go out and get pissed and like meet some bloke and they get 17th time up the fucking duffer that year, and we all sit there and go, "God, isn't it fucking unfortunate that? Why do people who make alcohol and make it so you can't remember things? And why have I brought you up to be such a fucking promiscuous slag? And why is it sperm has to always get there? I mean, it's not like that, mate. I think they are. They are held accountable. Just because things are available, Mike, does not mean you stop fucking other forms of preventative messages, right? You don't prevent preventative measures. If they discovered a cure for cancer tomorrow, like cure for cancer guarantee, you get cancer, you take this one pill, does that suddenly mean we shouldn't worry about people smoking? Because what's the point? You can get better anyway. There's lots of preventative measures we put in place with lots of things. We've got airbags and seat belts and light, and we've got cars that brake, and we've got stop signs, and we've got all this stuff. We didn't say get rid of one when the other one came along. When the Abortion Act in 1967 was passed, the British public was assured that it wouldn't lead to abortion on demand. Well, I don't know if that's true. Abortion on demand, like it's a fucking web film service. That assurance has proved hollow. Has it really, Mike? Right? Has it really? Right? Because also, here's an end. Martin J. Willett syndrome here. I don't really care what they said back in 1967. Does it really matter? What's happened is happened. Effectively, abortion on demand has been freely available in the UK for almost half a century. Well, what did you expect? What do you consider abortion on demand to be? Is there like there's another reason, right? Like we're just going to be the doctor's like, oh, we feel like it. You've won the lottery, We'll give you 100 grand, which you would spend on this child now to have it aborted. Well, no, it doesn't happen. That might be a good idea, though. Write that down. It's estimated that by the time the 2015 general election comes along, approximately 8.2 million elective abortions will have been performed under the terms of the Abortion Act, right? Okay, it's estimated is the words I'm interested in there. More than the current combined populations of Scotland, Wales, or London. Right, okay, first of all, that's about... Let's just make something clear here. Who gives a shit? What does it matter, Mike, how many there are? Right? You're sitting there rattling off numbers. Right? You're sitting there rattling off numbers about how many there are. Right? Let me ask you a question. You're suggesting this is something to go to all pro-life people. Right, because I've seen all pro-life people who make these arguments. They basically sit here and say that 8.2 million people, that 8.2 million abortions, that is the same, that is identical to 8.2 million children, just small children who are running around being killed. 8.2 million people. It's the equivalent to 8.2 million lives. It's the equivalent to a Holocaust. Right? It's the exact same thing. Here's the question, though. Right? You can deal with abortion. Right? You don't deal with abortion the same way you would deal or consider a child being murdered. Because I'm pretty sure if you were to find out there were going to be 8.2 million children murdered, by murderers, by Ian Huntley, Myra Hindley types, would you turn around to anyone who was offended or disgusted by that and go, well, he's no different than these abortionists, he's exactly the same? No, it's not the same, is it? It's very, very different. I bet you would sit next to a man and have a conversation with someone who has had an abortion, right? I.e. me, but I bet you would, if you sat next to someone and then you found out, oh, he's actually taken part in the murder of 2 children. you wouldn't feel the same, would you? I don't think you would. So to equate any of them, again, it's dishonest. But that's what you're doing. So in 2012, in England and Wales, 185,122 abortions were carried out, and 2 of them were mine. Oh, look at that. That would have been 1 for 85120, the last one. Back of the net. 97% were carried out under ground C of the Abortion Act. Is that C for, cunt? Or I don't know. The pregnancy has not exceeded its 24th week, and the continuance of the pregnancy would involve risk greater than if the pregnancy were terminated, of injury, physical or mental health of the pregnant woman. Right, now I'm hoping that to anyone else listening, that sounds like a perfectly reasonable idea. That that in that circumstance, yes, the mother takes precedence. Just because of little things like, she's been alive, she's been alive longer, she's got an attachment to people, she's obviously of more sort of emotional value to people, and she's actually a person who can get up and walk, as opposed to letting her die and giving this baby with no parents and no fucking connection to this father who's grieving for his wife. And now got to live, and he's got to grow up and got to bring up this child who, whether, right or wrong, he blames for losing the woman he loved. There is no evidence to support the thesis that abortion reduces the risks to mental health of women with an unwanted pregnancy. Right, okay, there isn't, is there? Right, okay. God, women just the out of cases where women have had some kind of some sort of post-traumatic stress disorder, I forget what it's called now, but yes, they get depressed, they go through very many changes, and a lot of them, they just, it's very common for these women to sort of these women would have picked up the baby and shook it to death anyway. These things happen. These nervous breakdowns, as if pregnancy, what is pregnancy really, actually? How on earth could it affect you mentally? It's only the single the biggest physical, emotional, mental, psychological, and biggest thing in your life ever. And that's it. And you're supposed to believe, I'm supposed to believe that changes your mind. I don't think so. Clinical trials to investigate this matter would, of course, be highly unethical. Oh, you don't say, Mike. Thank God for that. Thank God you said that. Thank God you said highly unethical, because if you'd sat there and suggested we just get a load of women pregnant and test out how mental they are. There is, however, some evidence to suggest that abortion itself increases the risk of mental health. All right, so it's like, so you want to play the odds-on argument, do you? It only carries out some sort of problem with mental health if it's done badly, or if it's done under duress. And generally the mental health it causes, Mike, it's got nothing to do with the abortion itself, it's to do with the way it changes the relationship between the man and the woman who've had it. Because it is an equally big statement to have an abortion as it is to have a child, and it's also something it's just something that's not very pleasant. You don't want to do it. It's a horrible thing to have to go through. And it's even worse to do it, to know that you did it to yourself, so you've got no one to blame. And so, yes, it generally causes a lot of stress and misery. What is this evidence, Mike? You're quoting. You've got the abortion statistics down there. I might have a look at them later. But, I've got no reason to believe this is true. Right? In December 2011, the National Collaborating Centre for Mental Health published a 252-page report for the Academy of Medical Royal Colleges, Induced Abortion and Mental Health. Yes, well, they're investigating it. A systematic review of the mental health outcomes of abortion, including the prevalence of factors. I'll just get to the sodding point, Mike. Are you going to quote mine this to get a result or not? Right. No, there's one key finding. The rate of mental health problems for women with an unwanted pregnancy were the same whether they had an abortion or gave birth. Right, well, Mike, what that tells me is it should become, if the rate is the same, if the odds are the same, then clearly it's got more to do with, actually the process of birth and the person themselves than whether they had an abortion or not. So if the odds on you dying are the same, or the odds on you having mental health issues are the same, then you shouldn't really base it on that. And why are you even suggesting this, Mike? Are you suggesting that people sit here and, you know, the whole thing is like of having a baby is like, oh, you know, it's like, well, there's a risk I might die. You know, I might as well just kill it first. There's a risk you're going to die during everything, right? And it's just there's just it's just a ridiculous. In April, okay. Oh, this is interesting. In April 2013, Australian and New Zealand Journal published a report. Does abortion reduce the mental health risks of unwanted or unplanned pregnancy? They concluded. Are you ready? There is no available evidence to suggest that abortion has therapeutic effects in reducing mental health risk of unwanted or unintended pregnancies. There is suggestive evidence that abortion may be associated with a small to moderate increase of risks of anxiety, alcohol misuse, illicit drugs. So it's got bugger all to do with it, Mike. Is that what you're saying? There you go, Mike. That statement doesn't help you out, right? If you want to believe this is a moral argument, Mike, and it's not, right? But if you want to believe this is the moral argument you want to make, you can't sit there and say, well, you know, okay, you want to kill your child because, you know, you want to kill your child, fine. But what if you let your child live and you felt a little bit better? That's what you're effectively arguing. It's like, you're going to have an abortion because you don't want a baby, right? As if that's, you know, ever been an excuse. So you don't want to have a baby, but if you do that, you're going to feel really bad for a little while. But if you go out the 9 months and then force yourself to have this child with this person who doesn't want the child, who who probably doesn't even want to be with you, and then you lumber yourself with this little bastard for the rest of your life and have to bring it up kicking, screaming, and shitting everywhere. Yeah, you know, that sounds bad, but in terms of the, you know, mental health and physical health, you'll feel a little bit better than you would have before. Right, just a little bit better. Look, it's not much, but fucking hell. Okay, so the proposals, right? The Abortion Act of 1967 should be amended to limit women's rights to have an abortion on the grounds of reducing risk to their mental health to a maximum of 13 weeks, right? So you're okay with a woman at 13 weeks going mad. That's okay with you. It's the women who say they go mad after the 13 weeks, you know, further into the pregnancy. You know, when it's actually going to be a lot more stressful. Yeah, as if that's got any... Yeah, it's ridiculous. At this stage, the gender of the embryo is unclear. What, a bit like you then, Mike? So this would result in the end of a gender-specific abortions. Oh, I see. You think that women are aborting fetuses because they suddenly find out they've developed a cock, aren't you, Mike? You don't want people choosing whether or not they're going to have a baby because it might be a girl or a boy. Okay, why is that any worse? Look, why is it okay? Why do you think it's worse to have an abortion, to kill a fetus, because you didn't want a boy or a girl, so you're killing it and you're going to try again? Why is that worse than just killing it, whether it's going to be one or not? It sounds pretty fucking sinister to me. At least one of them wants one of the types of babies to be alive. Number 2. The Abortion Act of 1967 should remain unchanged with respect to women's right to have abortions carried out on the grounds of reducing risk to their physical health. That's not a proposal, Mike. That's not a proposal. That's you saying, you know, yeah, it's all right the way it is. You don't run an election, Mike, on the basis that you agree with everyone who's already in power. That's not a proposal, right? And here we go. And number 3, pardon me. Number 3, it should be a criminal offence for a British woman to have an abortion outside the UK more than 13 weeks after conception on grounds that other than reducing risk than injury to her physical health. Actually, she's got to smuggle her way out of the country. Right, so she's got a woman who's 14 weeks pregnant has to find a way to go on holiday. And she has to go on an abortion holiday with the girls, right? And and she has to do that, and it's but she does it at 13 weeks. So a woman can have a foreign abortion. Fucking, I'll tell you what, these British women, Mike, having these foreign abortions. They go on holiday. They meet these foreign abortions. They think it's all going to be one of those nice, like they've read about in magazines and stuff. No, right. Yeah, so what you're going to get is a load of people, you're going to get a load of foreigners, people in fucking Europe, people in Scandinavia, and they're going to be saying, oh, bloody English women, British women, with their, coming over here with their babies they want killed, which they got from me 9 months ago. That's what, because obviously everyone in Europe sounds like Eddie Guerrero. I don't know why I fucking went down that way. So yes, Mike, you're basically saying, that's it. 13 weeks, bang, you're it. Of course, the issue of financial abortion, I bet that's a little bit longer than 13 weeks, isn't it? Because you won't even get paid 3 months' wages in that fucking time. Here's one for you, Mike. Here's one for you. And you know that story in America where you had that guy recently, American politician, conservative Christian fundamentalist who, standard American, and he was saying that he thinks that we wanted to change Roe versus Wade, and leave it so the woman can have an abortion, but only if the man gives her permission. Okay. All right, yes, because that's who has such little dignity, right? What next, right? So may I have an abortion? No, you're going to no. I tell you what, here's an idea though. But I got a proposal. I'll put this forward. I know I've only done one, and there's 20 of these things, so I could be here a long time. And so, but I'm going to end with this, right? Because here's a proposal. Sometimes you just got to find with these fuckers. You don't have to get outraged or pissed off about it. They're going to constantly try and fuck with these things, but they'll eventually come round when they realise the negative consequences they could ultimately induce. But here's the thing: if you see someone suggesting that a man should be asked his permission before a woman has an abortion, right, of his baby, right? It's simple. This, right? That law, you can have that law. We'll have that nationwide, worldwide. Europe, Britain, we'll take it. Right? Here's the deal, though. Right? We will take that law, but here's the flip side. Right? In return, we will grant the men's rights activists. All men will be granted the absolute, total, and there was no time limit financial abortion of any child they are responsible for conceiving at any point for any reason that they don't have to give. So that means if you get a woman pregnant, you don't have to pay for it if you don't want to. And even if you want to pay for it, you can fuck off quickly with no explanation at any point, and there's nothing they can do about it. But, and here's the fucking kicker, the only way we're going to give you those two things, lads, we're not going to give you the, oh, daddy, may I please go have an abortion, or the you love pregnant love, are you? Sorry about this, excuse me. Oh, I just saw me gone. No, what we're going to say is you can have both those things, but in return, the woman that you're with, certainly if you're married, but in any circumstances, if you are in a relationship, let's say once you've been in a relationship with a woman for let's say 6 to 8 months, 6 months to a year, at that point, you are legally required to hand over your fucking bank account. And then she controls the money forever. Right? The only way you get it back is if you break up with her. But of course, if you suddenly want to break up when she's had your baby, she might suddenly turn around and go, no. And you've got to trust her in that. So you're going to hand over your bank account. If you want money, you've got to fucking ask her for it. You've got to say, darling, I want 20 quid so I can go out and get some cheap whiz and do a couple of these. Could we possibly do that? You've got to get her to say, so you have to ask her for stuff. You could lie to her, of course, and you probably will. But you won't be able to get your little financial... She might grant you a financial abortion, right? If so, right? And in return, when she gets pregnant, right, before she considers an abortion, she will say to you, no, what about having an abortion? What about, have you thought about that? And there you go, right? You've got everything, right? Isn't that what you guys want? You've got the woman to basically bow down to you and be subordinate at the point where she should have the total autonomy, and you've been given the right to just denounce your responsibilities on a whim and run away because you don't want to fucking live up to live in a world where the shit you do has consequences that you need to fucking pay for. Right? You've got them now. They're yours. All we're asking is that if you do that, you better trust and love the woman you're with and she better trust and love you, because if she don't, you ain't seeing shit, mate. You're staying there forever, and there's nothing you can do about it. And yeah, I think that will go through. I think that's a good proposal. Yeah, I need to put that on forward to Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end it there. I've got a few more minutes, but there's no point starting another one. So that's episode 1 of this Dick versus Manifesto. It's going to be available on the the same download options available. It will be on YouTube as well, probably in full, but it's also going to be on iTunes, Spreaker. It's going to be on Stitcher Radio. Please, please, please download it, pass it around, share it around, because now I've got 2 podcasts. I'm a 2-podcast guy. 1 podcast is enough for me. I've got 2 political podcasts. So we're now going to massacre the people even more, the opposition, with more downloads, and we're going to share this shit around, and we're going to have fun with this now. Also, please, please take a chance to, if you haven't been already, at least to go to justiceformenandboys.com, the website I have created for Mike Buchanan, and go and have a look around. If you feel like you've got any ideas you want to throw them at me, please do. It's a community we want to build and we want to grow. And of course, if you want to do me the favour, if you, unlike me, are an anarchist and don't want the state to hand you out, you want other people to hand you money for no reason, please go to my Patreon, patreon.com/Richard the Dick, so Dick Dynasty 666, and you can help me make even more material for you on an even more regular basis, which I know is what you want. And all you got to do is give a little few dollars, $5, $10 a month. You make a pledge on there, just like you would for a starving, underprivileged Eastern European child, or a child in slavery in Sierra Leone. But in this case, it's me. If you'd like to do that, that would be wonderful as well. And I'd be eternally grateful, and I'll try to do as much as I can. I hope you've enjoyed this idea later in this podcast. Please let me know what you think, and I can probably, I can listen to your ideas and pretend to, and then we'll ignore them. So, this is Richard the Dick Coughlan, Dick Dynasty 666, round 1 of Dick versus Just J4MB 2005 Manifesto. 1-0 to me.